Hello again, welcome to the Mastercam courses. At that lecture I just gonna try to create some G code for actually that part. Okay, let me organize my product here, and then I can organize my Mastercam like this, and I think that's enough. We can also close that part. Yes, everything seems fine. Okay, I'm gonna use the right mouse button. I'm gonna make my wireframe color red, and this is gonna be my line width like this. Okay, let's start with line plane and line endpoints approach here. So I'm gonna start from here. Yes, like this. I can turn to freeform. I can hit here. This is point 1 and point 2, and then I can organize my the distance here. My distance can be 40 and 37.75 divided by 2, and this is gonna be my line here, as you can see. After that, actually I don't need to care about that stuff. I just need to click here, line, parallel line, and click here, and then I can write 5.98 here, and then okay, that part is done right now. After that, we can also use parallel line here. I can create some parallel line like this. So that distance must be 23.1 here, and then to be able to change that distance, actually you know that this is the 42.46, so that's why I can turn to line and horizontal line, so we can create that kind of line here. And the distance is not important, I just need to write 42.46 and divided by 2, and then I can turn to divide options, and then we can cancel it, and then we can turn to the line and point options again to create that stuff here. After that, I can click here. This is the arc endpoints options. This is my point 1 and point 2. After that, I can left my arc here, and then we just need to write our radius. I need to write here 29.37. Okay, that's my radius. After that, we can also see 35.68 here. I can also use the parallel line here. That can be 21.01, and hit the enter button. And then after that, we can also turn here endpoint arc options and click here and here, and then we can left our radius here, and this is the radius again 100.23, and hit the enter button again. And after that, we can also use another parallel line here. I can hit here and select my line and click here. This is the 21.19, and then we can also turn back to here, arc endpoints starting. This is my point 1 and point 2, and click the somewhere, and my radius can be 20.47. Okay, and then we can also create another parallel line here. We can start from here, actually, and that's not correct. We are and copying the same line. Actually, this is the correct one. I need to change that one actually, so I need to delete that arc and that arc. Actually, I can turn to the line endpoints and turn back to vertical, and horizontal line here, and then I can write here 35 and the point 68 divided 2. Yes, we got this. And then we can also see the another line here. It must be 30 point and 42 divided by 2, and we got this one. Okay, and then we can also use the another parallel line with 10.93 here. Okay, oops, sorry, I just need to use that one again. We can use the that's parallel line here. .93 here. 0.93 here. Okay, and then we can also create some parallel line with actually 10 millimeter, and then I can create my horizontal line here like this. This is going to be my distance actually with 25. Yes, that's it. At that point actually we can also use the trim to entities. We can turn to the trim entities, two trim entities, and click here and here, and then we can turn to the divide options, so we can easily get rid of all that part, and then we can delete it. Okay, it's here. We can also click the endpoints options. We can start from here and here, and then we need to write our radius. This is the 100.23, and then we can also see that that point and that point is used with actually radius 20.47. Yes, and then at that point actually I just need to create 2.54 line here. I'm gonna start from here, and that must be like this. This is the length, 2.54, and then we can create another arc endpoints here, starting from here and here and here. It must be 9.74. okay, and that's it. Actually we just need to create extra radius here. I can click here, and my radius must be 10, and then I can click here. Okay, I think that's it. So we can double click, and we can easily create that kind of line. If you would like to create and some trimming options here, you can turn back to trim to entities, turn to the trim one entity. We can select the trim, click here and here. Okay, it is created like this. Of course, after that process, let's create our finished toolpath. we can use the right mouse button and the lathe toolpaths and finish toolpath. Okay, we can use the partial and weight options. I can start from here. So at that point, I can select my contour step by step. And then we can double click on our tool, and then we should change our radius. And this is my feed rate. This is my constant cutting and constant cutting speed. And then this is my maximum spindle speed here. Then we can activate the reference point. I can make them unselect. Then we can turn to the finish parameters. We can create number of finish passes as a 3. And this is the finish step over. I can write 0.1. And then we can prefer to use that kind of leading with actually 1 millimeter. This is my degree with 1 millimeter, and this is my degree with 1 millimeter. We can also activate plunge parameters here and create our toolpaths. Okay, and then we can use the backload simulation. This is step 1, step 2, and step 3. Okay, everything seems fine. And then we can turn here and then click G1 button to get our G code. And then that's it. This is my tool number. This is my actually and spindle speed here, constant spindle speed here, and then we can see the maximum spindle speed to maximize our spindle speed, and then we can use the cutting speed here, and also we're gonna see that G2 and G3 options here by using the vector approach, and then we can repeat all that operations. Okay, if you intend to change your geometry, you can click here, you can select your chain and then click the right mouse button and delete that chain. And then maybe we should also add new one. We can click here, right mouse button and add chain. And then we can start from here, 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 and here. If you would like to finish your toolpath on that point, actually, we can handle it. We can click here, trim to extend entities options. As a type, we have two options here, trim and break. I can hit the break options here, and one entity, so I can select my arc, and then I can select my line to be able to break my arc. At that point, actually, we can easily turn back to chain again and use the right mouse button and add new chain, and then I can start from here, here, and here. As you can see that it's easy to select my breaked line. I just need to click OK button, and then we need to hit that button to be able to generate all dirty operations. But at that point we can see that we have a problem here because of my actually final process. Actually you can see that here. So that's why I need to click here, turn back to Toolpath options and reference point. This is my approach and retract position. We can make them unselect with our retract position. If you make that like this, you're gonna see that's kind of toolpath here. 1, 2, 3, and then we can go to the reference point. Or another options, of course, we can turn back here and we can click the reference point and activate the retract position, and then we can hit the select button. If I am clicking here, this is selected automatically, but of course we also need to activate x-axis. After that we can get rid of all the decimal numbers. We can write some integer numbers here, for example like this, and hit the OK button, and then we can recalculate it. We can select our toolpath and click that button again, and then it's easy. You can see that it's easily created here. I just need to change X distance like this. Okay, that's better. Okay, this is the finishing process, and of course we can also change our tool and other finish parameters options here actually, but I'm gonna talk that stuff later. Okay, so this is the finishing process, and that's kind of example. Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciated your interest. If you have any question, don't hesitate to ask me any question.